impacts it may have on homeless accommodation.
Thank you. As you know, Minister, we have a major housing crisis with almost 9,652 men, women and children homeless, of which 3,689 are children. Of course, these figures exclude a contentious number of homeless people which have been removed from the homeless list. Latest figures also show that there are 763 families in hotels and B&Bs. Some of these families have had to resort to self-accommodating, that is, ringing around hotels to secure a booking. This is extremely difficult and very stressful, as you can imagine, especially if you have a family. Hotels and B&Bs are often booked on a daily basis, leaving families in a terrible and uncertain situation, sometimes having to travel, if they can even afford it, at the last minute, long distances to secure beds for the night. Most families and individuals who are homeless with Dublin City Council are now spending up to 3 or 4 years homeless, waiting on council accommodation, or sometimes less if HAP can be got. Minister, every time major events take place in Dublin, we have a crisis in accommodation, with some hotels, B&Bs, opting to take in clients at the expense of homeless families, even though they have nowhere to go. This human tragedy is repeated year in, year out, and will become even more obvious when over the weekend of August the 25th and the 26th, Pope Francis will visit Ireland. In particular, he'll be visiting the Phoenix Park and Croke Park. With the expected crowds and the peak season for tourists, accommodation will be impossible to get. And more often than not, the prices will be inflated by some establishments to take advantage of the occasion. We've already experienced some of that. Once again, this leaves us with a human tragedy in the making and a major crisis for those homeless families. Do you have an estimate, Minister, as to how many families potentially could be displaced over the weekend, if not at all? If action isn't taken, we will have more families sleeping rough in cars or couch surfacing or sleeping in any nook or cranny they can find. Minister, what contingency plans have you put in place? Do you intend pulling together a crisis management team? Where are the facilities or accommodation to be got, considering we have, at present, 763 families dependent on this type of accommodation? You cannot leave this to the last minute. The families and their children need certainty. Can you guarantee them security and a safe and decent place to stay during that weekend? Because that is not the experience we have up to now. We have experienced this when there's been major events, concerts, a lot of people get displaced. And Minister, I also believe that hotels and putting up prices on these occasions is something that is to be, in my opinion, shouldn't happen, because some of the prices that we have experienced are absolutely crazy, and that is effectively making people homeless as a result of some of the hotels just wanting to get people out so they can bring in tourists and jack up the prices. Thank you.